everybody. I am here today as part of the Live Well Festival with Central Coast Council, and this, offering was intended to be done live. However, with our current circumstances, we're bringing it to you as a recorded version. So I thank you for joining us. My topic today is how I lost and found myself whilst tending to the sacred duties of motherhood. And I felt it was a rather apt subject title initially, and now that with our current circumstances that we are facing, there's a lot of threads of how we deal with change within this offering. So it felt like I needed to bring it to you. So first and foremost, I hope that you are okay in this time of great change. Today, I would really like to offer you the pieces of myself that I discovered under the rubble of a time where I felt lost in life. Now, these pieces are my wisdom and my truth. And I have been on a quest since this discovery to support others, sit with and be curious about their own rubble that they might find themselves in, and begin the task of sifting through to find the pieces of themselves that might sit there quietly waiting to be claimed. At the end of this session, there will be an opportunity for you to ask me some questions by typing them into the comments below, and where I will provide for you my heartfelt answers to. Please let me share a little bit about myself for you to get an idea of who I am and how I view my world. My name is Tracey Gillis-Sinclair, and I am the sole owner of a business called Wisdom to Wellness. I'm a transformation coach, I'm a kinesiologist, and I support people just like you who feel lost in life and would like to discover the gifts of their challenges. These souls that I work with are really ready to share themselves with the world. And the families of my clients witness a full, vibrant expression of their loved one as they walk the sacred journey back home and they discover the magic of living. I always encourage open and safe places and safe spaces. I also teach for the College of Complementary Medicine. I facilitate women's retreats, and my deep, deep passions are connection and creating the space to be held in vulnerability. I'm a happily married woman, 19 years this year. Woohoo! I've got 3 children, they're divine. I love to travel. I love reading books and trying to play my guitar. And nature is where I feel most connected to myself and the greater. For now, get yourself comfortable. Take what you need from what I have to say, what I have to share with you. Leave what you don't need, and notice the nudges inside of you. Notice the moments where you feel something that may be a rising of emotion. It might be a tightening, it might be a pang. This is my offering to you to notice the pieces of yourself that might be needing your attention. My desires for living, when I was a little girl, I used to dream of traveling the world, and there was just this thread of freedom that, was in my dreams for my life. And that sense of freedom, I imagined myself just these little sparks of light, and I would just be led by those when they presented themselves to me. And I think back now, and it was just this beautiful fairy tale that I found myself getting lost in quite often. And as we know, sometimes the best plans and the best dreams manifest in very different ways that allow us to find parts of ourselves that we might not have ever thought existed or would ever have been brought into presence. For me, and I'm going to give my age away here, for me, up until the age of 35, I was a free spirit who embraced every single moment without deep, great fears. Perhaps, now I think back, perhaps I was disconnected from my truth. But for me, nothing really came into my sphere that made me fear. It was at this age that I become a mother of 3. Now, the topic of my talk, as I shared with you earlier, is how I lost and found myself whilst tending to the sacred duties of motherhood, which seems like a mouthful, but these sacred duties I speak of are different for everybody and they're ever changing. For me, in 2009, I believed wholeheartedly that my sacred duty was the health of my children and that was my greatest priority. And it seems like, now I share that, it seems like a very reasonable belief to have. And of course, it was at the time. And that if my children were healthy, that I was doing a great job as a mother, and that my success as a mother was in fact based on the health of my children. I soon came to realise that having this belief really didn't serve me because I had such rigidity around it, and that belief would actually become one of my greatest unravels, one of my greatest constructs of rubble. When our son became ill in the middle of the night with a grand mal seizure, and I think back now and I think, wow, talk about pulling in what you really most need to learn about yourself in life. So when I recovered from this initial shock, about 2 weeks later, I began to believe, and I felt that moment was confirmation rather, that I actually was a failure. That because I couldn't save my son from these violent seizures, then what use was I to our 3 children? I then began the journey of unravelling and of sifting through the rubble to decide on what beliefs I needed to let go of or to alter, and what new ideals I needed to embed, I guess, in myself to walk the next part of my journey. And this allowed me, as I just said, to form new beliefs and let go of things that were outdated or needed some shining or polishing. Of course, these old beliefs were really difficult for me to let go of because, of course, I wanted my children to be vital and well and healthy. What parent doesn't? But I also knew that it wasn't serving me to believe that it was my sole responsibility and my sole sacred duty. So I began letting go of that idea and letting go of all the things that came with that, to include screening every single friend that my children wanted to play with, to ensure that friend hadn't been unwell in the weeks prior or days prior to connecting with my child. It meant letting go of setting my alarm several times a night to check on my children. It meant letting go of beating myself up for something I really didn't have control over. It meant cultivating trust. It also meant trusting in myself, and that what I was doing was enough. It meant trusting in the process of life. Now, these things weren't easy, and I'm not suggesting for a moment that it was easy or it should be easy for us. However, what I'm going to share with you are possibly some things that you can do for yourself when life pushes against you. as I said at the start, my beautiful fairy tale life was, for living, was to travel the world and have this full sense of freedom that would allow me to continue to be led by those sparks of light that presented themselves to me. And this is now how I choose to respond to my life. It had always been there. However, I felt that I really needed these challenges to confirm that that was really what I wanted out of my life. So I thank you for witnessing my story, hearing me and holding me in this virtual space. I would like to now invite you to gently close your eyes if it feels right for you, if that's there, and placing your hand or both of your hands on your heart. And just listening and feeling your body. The only constant in life is change. There is no right or wrong way. Simply allow what is there to be there and move with it in grace and love. We're often pushed to our borders, to the very edges of ourselves, in order to develop and grow into something new, into something greater, something more wise, something more awake. Be gentle with yourself when growth comes, when life challenges you. I feel that this will lead you to discover yourself and to share those discoveries with your world. It really does take deep honesty and gentleness to move with grace during these times. When a challenge comes, perhaps you could light a candle and sit with its presence. Acknowledge yourself and your beautiful heart. And in this moment, right now, inviting a deep breath in. And then another. Soften. Let go of your defenses. Let go of how you think it should be. Let go of your armor. And lift your face to the sky. Connect with your constant companions of breath and of heartbeat. And feel their impact on you. Now is the time to grow, dear one. Now is the time to grow. Let us move from fearful to trusting. Let the world change because of your loving self-awareness. This is our work now. Know that I am right here doing the work with you. My practice in times of change, in times of challenge, is to sit in gratitude and connect with those loyal companions of breath and of heartbeat, and cultivate those feelings you want to feel of peace, of love, and of trust. Soften. And when you're ready, gently opening your eyes, lifting your face to the sky. And trusting. I'm honoured that you've joined me in this sacred moment of remembering. Thank you.